Hi, my name's Kevin, and this video is to show off a triggered event system that I created for a game I'm working on. What I wanted to accomplish with this was I wanted to be able to drop a component into a trigger and have that be able to trigger a host of different event types depending on the situation. In order to do that, I needed to create a custom editor so it would change dynamically as you select different event types. This makes it something that is easy for a designer to come along and then drop that into the scene and create custom events on the fly. So let's take a look at how that works. So let's say you wanted to set up an event for this NPC here. What you want to do first is select the trigger, and then you're going to add the triggered event component to that trigger. And if you notice, it does add a trigger behavior, which what that does is it allows you to set whether or not you want to be able to see the trigger in the editor. That will put a wireframe around it. And the other thing it does is it also sets whether this will be triggered by the player or some other object. And we will get into that in a little bit. So let's take a look at the types of events that we can trigger with this. We can set up animations. We can trigger audio events. We can destroy objects. And we can also set a delay timer for when that happens. We have music events. And we also can set off particle systems. And there's also an event disabled, so once it's done it can turn itself off. So in this case we want to set up an animation. Now we are going to set it to disable on use. It's going to play it once, it won't trigger again after we've played this event. So what we want to do is we want to grab the animator for the NPC, and then the animation trigger. In this case we're going to play a wave animation. So we're going to go ahead and type wave in here. Now we want to add an audio event, so we're going to add another triggered event to this. We'll change it to audio, and we're going to drag in the audio clip in so he'll say hello. Then we can set up the volume, and we're going to set that to 25. And we can also change the pitch if we want. We're going to make it a little bit higher at 1.15. So I've also set this up so it can be used with either cube triggers or sphere triggers, so either one of those will work just fine in here. And I've set up something a little more involved over here. This trigger actually is going to activate 3 different objects, these 3 blocks over here, and it has a delay on it, so each one will just trigger a little bit after the other. So when those things activate, they'll fall onto the triggers below them. So that block in particular is going to fall on this trigger here, and we want to set up that trigger so it will be triggered by that block instead of the player, and that's where this comes in. So if we turn off this trigger by player, it's going to ask us what is the object that we want to trigger this event with, and in this case it's this falling block. So when that falls and hits this trigger, it's going to do a series of things. First, it's going to trigger a particle system, which is going to trigger a small explosion effect. And then we're going to trigger an audio event, which does an explosion sound. And we can set up the volume and pitch on that as well. And then we are going to destroy the block so it's no longer in the scene. So let's go ahead and turn those off so they are ready to be activated. And let's go ahead and run the scene. First thing we're going to do is go over and see the NPC, who's going to wave and say hello.
Hello.
This right here is going to deactivate the block, and now we'll set off the grand finale. And there we go. That is the triggered event system. Thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you again soon.